Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Uchenna, and in this video I want to talk about what I've observed, with my own child and also with upbringing in general. And what I've noticed is that parenting really is one of the greatest tragedies that we face in this world. It's one of the greatest sources of pain and suffering for adulthood. Most people are trying to recover from their childhood. We hear a lot about childhood trauma and experiences in childhood that have shaped how people think and behave as adults. Of course, there are two sides to the story. There's a story about the human nature and how people are wired already to behave in a particular way. This is based on behavioral genetics. Then there's also the belief that the parents have a great influence on the children um, before the age of 7 and everything. So there's somewhere in between. The truth always lies. So from my own observation, from the little baby I have at home, I can say, that children already come, with their own intelligence, with their own preferences, their own behaviors. Of course, it's not easy to just judge by one child, but I have a second child, so I'm going to also observe and see if and see her own and observe her own preferences and how she likes to live her own life, just to see if there's any difference between the first one and the second one. But of course, I already know because I have siblings. I know that we all turned out completely differently. The way we view life is completely different. The things that we like are completely different, and we're all raised in the same house, with the same parents, exposed to the same things. So, the theory of human nature um, seems to be valid, just from my own anecdotal experience. So I think parenting has been a source of great tragedy to the world, because nobody is trained to be a parent. It's just recently, I think, people now, are focusing on parenting and conscious parenting and all that, and all the sorts, allowing children to be themselves, which is what I subscribe to. You don't own your child. I don't believe that your child is your property. Property in the sense that they don't belong to you. You are a vessel through which they came. You're half of a vessel through which they came. So even if you want to claim ownership, your ownership is even half, because they carry half of your DNA, which has already been recombined to form their own. So it has been diluted. Even the half has been diluted to maybe a quarter or something. So yeah, and you're responsible for them according to the laws of the land up until when they are 18. Not that you're responsible that you're going to go to prison if they do something bad, but you're responsible for training them, for guiding them, for providing for them until they're 18. So what do we do between when the child is born and when they are free to leave us and do whatever they want to do? I don't have that. I don't have the complete experience. I only have the experience of growing up in a family of two parents, and I also have a family too now, which I'm observing. And of course, I've observed other families, and I've watched some videos too. So I can just pull on all these evidence that I have to make my own personal judgment on what I think the whole story is about. So your children are not your property. They don't belong to you. You cannot you only belong to yourself. And as much as you try to mold, which is what most parents do, they try to mold their children into a particular thing, and that's where the problem stems from. That's where the pain comes from, because you don't even know who the child is, and you cannot know who the child is if you don't know yourself. So if you know yourself, then you will know that your child is not you, and you will know that your child is not your mini you, or that's the word we use, mini me. Yeah. So you know that they are not meant to be possessed. And even from my little 1.5 year old child, you cannot possess them. You cannot possess her unless you use force. Because she, at this age where she is now, she's trying to explore the world. She's going to be doing things that get on adults' nerves because the adults don't see those things as dangerous. She doesn't see the baby doesn't see the danger in whatever she's doing because she's just trying to explore the world. And then we'll start to beat them or start to mold them into something that you want them to be. That is where we break them. That's where children are broken because that is not who they are. Your job, basically, is to understand, is to try to understand who the child is. You cannot even understand because you do not understand their language. They have a completely different language. They have different things that they like. So you should just observe, find out, see what they like doing, then um, try to encourage them, try to focus your teaching or your guidance, you know, based on what your child is naturally inclined to. So that is your duty as a parent. You cannot shirk on that responsibility. You cannot be lazy to that responsibility because if not, then you do not have any business, bringing a child into the world to suffer. Because the problem is that most of us, everybody is trying to recover from childhood trauma. They don't know themselves. I don't know who I am. That's what everybody's saying. People are trying to find out who they are, which they should not be doing. So if you're a parent and you want to be conscious, the first thing is to understand who the child is. Who are you beyond the physical behavioral things that we want them to do? Sit down here, do this, do that, do that. Breaking this child. Then of course, another problem is that we parents mount their failures and their expectations on children by expecting them to carry on from where they left off, where their failed parents have left off. Your child is not here to fill your shoes. That is your responsibility. They are here to create something new. We're looking for something new in the world. We're not looking for people that are trying to be like their parents or people that are trying to complete what their parents feel that they are failed at doing. Those are not the kind of children we need. The children we need are children that are bringing something children that can express why they are here. Children that understand their purpose. Children that know their strengths and their weaknesses. Children that are allowed the freedom to express those their strengths and to work on their weaknesses. Children who know themselves, basically. That's what, not children that fit in to whatever dreams that their parents have for them, because those expectations are part of what break the children. You're putting heavy baggage on a child, because the child has to carry his or her own baggage. So why are you being wicked by placing your own um, unrealistic expectations on the child? So I think I agree with the conscious parenting. Not every single person, but just the idea in general, of allowing children to flourish, um, of understanding the strengths and the uniqueness of your child, and then um, helping them work towards being the best that they can be. Yeah, I believe in dialogue. I believe in discussion. I know that using force really is detrimental in the long term. It's never the best way to do it. If you do it by force, then you're going to break the child again, which is what has been the problem ever since. So your child is not your property. You should not treat them like a property. It's your responsibility because you brought them into the world. Whether you did it purposefully, planned or not, that's a different question altogether. Yeah, so I'll just let this pass. Yeah, so the responsibility, the onus lies on you to make the change. We already know how difficult it is, even making changes to our own selves. Even trying to do what we want to do is difficult. So you cannot make a child do what they don't want to do, unless, of course, you use the abusive, um, corrosive, forceful ideology, of bending them to fit into your box. So let them be in their own box. Let them be free. I always talk about the paradox of life. So you need to learn the art of negotiation, the art of listening, the art of observation, um, and help us bring out the beauty in every one. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back with another video. Thank you. Bye.